Hi there, Jimmy Townsend here. This is not a bitch. I know, it's been a while because I've been in this great fight with the RCMP and everything, but, well, I'm sure that my people that I talk to in the world through this medium can appreciate that when somebody tries to murder you, and then these people are the Attorney General of British Columbia and the RCMP and your own disability worker and the mining titles office and the land titles office. I mean, everybody says, well, why do you have so many problems with so many people if it's all them? And I say, you know, that's a very curious question. Why is that? And how is it whenever I get the records back, it indicates that they're all talking to each other? And how do you really fight back against these people? Well, you see, evil only prevails when good men do nothing. That's why the Crown attacks me. They want me to do nothing. You see, if people can dictate literally all of your actions, they have absolute control of the world. When men who produce need to pay men who produce nothing in order to do so, everybody gives up. They put down their tools and they go home. They say, if only those people are enriched, why should I do anything? And society wins. And we lose the battle because of it. So although it may seem to people who have watched my videos lately that I put an inordinate amount of time into being distracted by the people that have tried to murder my family, that's not what my life experience is. And my wife and I have a lot of good times together, without money, without the things that other people have in life or anything else. But I have a few old computers, and I content myself with creating things. Create things, the Crown doesn't like that, and they'll attack you right now. Because when you create things, that means that your actions are having a consequence. These people are destroyers. They only want to create machines of destruction. They do not want to create for sheer creativity, for joy, for compassion, for enlightenment, or anything else. Greed and destruction are their only creations. So I spend a lot of time creating, because in my mind, it's my way of fighting back, of saying, you will not suppress my intellect. Never ever. I will keep on exercising it. So what I've actually been doing, on top of studying how to sue the RCMP and the people who have been using the court systems to attack us, I want to use their own weapon back against them. I think that's fair. If they attack me with the court, I'll use it back against them. But what I've spent a lot of time doing is writing a couple books. As many of you know from watching my videos, a while ago I invented a really neat way to multiply numbers. Another thing that I've been working on since then is my slide rule calculator that we can see on my computer there, and that teaches you how to use a slide rule to calculate. I believe that people should start using slide rules to calculate, so that their minds understand the relationship of numbers. I mean, this little device here holds the knowledge of the universe. It's an incredibly powerful analog computer. And yet, I bet you not 1 in a million people even know how to use this device on the planet. You know, we've gotten used to just taking a calculator and punching the numbers in it and getting the answer. But what happens if electricity fails? And you need to use your own mind. You use your mind for your own intellect. So that's one of the packages that I'm working on. I don't have the money yet, but as soon as I have the money, I'm going to package the thing up and get an ISBN number and start distributing it. And as many of you know, you can already get this off of the internet. I share everything that I have. Nobody's ever, well, I shouldn't say that. I guess 3 people have paid me for copies, but very many people thank me anyways. So that's really nice when people thank you for using your stuff on there, even if they don't support you financially. Another thing that I've been working on is my key, chord, and scale calculator. And on the back of it, I've got the melotonic scale that I developed. As many of you know, after my accident, I couldn't use my arms, and they told me I'd never use my hands again. And so I determined to learn how to play the banjo. As a systems analyst, I had to analyze how music worked and put it all together and come to a comprehension of how notes are put together to create chords and stuff like that in order to get the system working in my mind. And then to solidify that knowledge of how the system works. So of course I always write software. Mathematics is the penultimate truth system. If you can break it down into a formula and an equation that it works, you've reached a fundamental truth. So what I basically did is I'm just going to concentrate on what it is that I'm doing here for a second. And it would be what? The program files. Where am I here? 10 program files, my documents, and applications. It's here, I can't even find my own application on my device. My documents. My sounds. Everything in the universe. Well, I don't know what I did with my chord calculator on my little tiny computer here. Actually, this thing is a little bit of a pain to try and program, and I use this other computer to program it. But I'll show you how the chord calculator works on this application. Here's the chord calculator, and it's installed. So what you can do is you can go around to the different chords, and whenever you press on the chord, you get there's a G, there's an A, and it shows you the 3 notes that you need in order to make up the chord A. Now I also make this hard copy of a chord calculator, and if you open up the inside, you see that you can make it into this. And this is a chord calculator that allows you to calculate all of the chords on the on whatever instrument you're using it for. Anybody that's bought in chord charts of millions and millions and millions of chords knows that this is a good little thing, because literally every chord that you can think of for a major, a minor, a seventh, an augmented, or a diminished, you can get on here. You can, if you have a computer with Windows or Windows emulator, you can run the program on that, or if you have a little phone PC. I also have a phone PC version of the software. Where it is right now, I'm not quite sure though. So the thing with me is that I've never been able to sleep through a night since my accident, unless I was dead drunk and passed out or something like that, which I do every once in a while, just because the pain gets to be a little bit too much for me, and sometimes you just need a rest. It's not really a good idea, because you wake up with a hangover and puking, and it's not really, I guess you never really win, but still at the same time, I guess I'm toughening up every day and getting a little bit better. But I never sleep through the night. My shoulders collapse and my arms go to sleep, and I wake up and my ribs are in pain, and the only way that I can get over it is to sit up and to energize, and then to get the movement back into my fingers and everything. And I learned how to play a banjo. Well, last Christmas my kids gave me a guitar. So what I've been doing for the past 9 months is learning how to play guitar. One of the problems that I have is I don't have really good feeling in my hands. So as a consequence of that, I had to kind of develop a few little tricks and in order to be able to play a musical instrument. One of the things that I can't do is look away from the guitar because I don't have good enough feeling to feel where my hands are in the thing. I'm starting to get it and get some nuance and stuff like that into the music, and I'm actually not too bad with my right hand, even though these 3 fingers are frozen right up and they just feel like wood, and I can't really feel the pick. I'm doing not bad about getting anchored on this end. I hit the wrong string every once in a while, but if I can keep just that right on there on the end 2 little knobs there, I'm not too bad at finding my way back to the place. So what I did, as many of you know from watching my little video on the banjo there, I learned how to play a melotonic scale. A scale that jumps back and forth on the strings so that you can play a melody and it's more melodious. It rings longer because the notes are always played on different strings, or for the most part they're played on different strings. So what I did for the guitar is I developed the same melotonic scale. Now it turns out that on the banjo you only have 1 octave, but if you do it correctly on the guitar you have 2 octaves, and you see that's what this melotonic scale is all about that I developed and put onto the back of the chord calculator. And it's a methodology for me to play that allows me to anchor my hand at a certain spot, and then because I don't have to move my thumb, it's much more easy for me to find my fingers back to the way that I'm at. Okay, so as you know, on the melotonic scale on the banjo went something like here. Let me just see if I can emulate it. Oh yeah, if we start here, and then I got to go onto that string there, but it's actually an E string, whereas on the banjo it's a D, and I could carry on with the scale. But because I'm playing on a guitar, you got to hit some different notes on the string, because the bottom string on a guitar is 1 note higher than a banjo is. So a 4 or 5 string banjo is the same as the bottom 4 strings on a guitar. So if I want to play a melotonic scale and it starts in the note of G, so it's in the key of G, you can see how I can replicate the same thing on my hand. I'll see if I can move that. Oh, no, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, there's my hand right there. Okay, so if I go like this, now I've hit the top string. Now I'm going to hit the next string, onto the next string, and then I'm going to go back to the first string and I'm going to hit it down here. Did you hear that? Okay, I'm going to do the same on the next string. Now, it's in the key of G, so instead of playing an F, I got to play an F sharp. So instead I'm going to go here. But now what happens is there's a little string inversion because the notes aren't set, or rather the tones aren't set the same width apart between the strings. So now I'm going to go over here, and then I'll replicate that onto the last string. So every note is played on a different string. When you put it all together, you have a 2-octave scale starting with the note of G, so it's in the key of G. Now, one of the things that confused me when I started getting into music was I would find the same song and it'd be written differently. And a note would be over here, and a note would be over here, or something like that. And it made it difficult for me to put it into my square block head and remember them and stuff like that. So what I started doing was transposing all of the songs that I was learning to play into this scale that I developed, and just make it easier in order to make it easier for me to play songs. So, for instance, the Red River Valley. So that was, you notice that I'm just using the notes within here. And one of the things that I noticed whenever I started mapping things within that system is that songs have patterns that can be replicated and are replicable on any location on the guitar. So if I wanted to start playing Ode to Joy up here, and it has the same pattern, if I started it over here, or if I started it here, or if I started here, or even here, so once you realize that a song has a pattern, that you can play anywhere on the instrument, so you do, well, you know, do I want this high, or what key do I want to play it in, what note do I want to start it on, and all that other sort of stuff. Once you know the pattern of the song, you just start playing it anywhere on the guitar, and you really don't have to worry about even anchoring your hand. But see, I started with this. Another thing that I learned was all of the pentatonic scales. You see, there's a chromatic scale, and the chromatic scale has all of the notes that you see all around there, all 12 notes, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. Okay, and then there's what they call the tonic scale, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? Or rather, to T. And so, but that's overlaid, those 7 notes, on these 12 chromatic notes. And then you have what you call a pentatonic scale, which is 5 notes within there. And the pentatonic scale would be G, A, C, D, E. And so many people practice the pentatonic scale because that's kind of a whistling scale. Those notes, like if you whistle out songs, you find that very rarely do they have more than 5 notes, and most often they're the notes that are in the pentatonic scale. So you can learn these scales, and the scales are interesting because they produce the same patterns of sounds along the fretboard. So here's the pentatonic, the first pentatonic scale. Second. Now you notice that my finger positions are moving here, but essentially I am creating the same kind of a rhythm pattern, although each of these scales is starting on a different note progressively further down the scale.
So this is the C pentatonic scale, the C major pentatonic scale. So then the C scale is now these pentatonic scales. Why would you want to learn them? Well, you see, because it tunes your ear to your instrument so that you develop this kind of an intuition when you hit a note for however everything else is going to go together. Now, I was talking about song patterns, so here's another song pattern. Another pattern, a little bit higher up. So you've seen me actually use two slightly different patterns within my melotonic scale in order to play those. Now, I showed you the pentatonic scale of C earlier, which was and you say, Jim, well, why do you want to learn how to play those and get your fingers dexterous with it all and everything else? Well, it's because these are really the tools that we use for writing songs. And we put all of our songs together like that. So here I am, and I'm playing this song here. Oh, we all know that. I was gonna sing my baby to the king. Right? But it's interesting if you go over to the C scale and you're doing your pentatonic scale exercises, and then you go to play that song on the scale. And here's what you end up with. Did you see what the fellow did when he wrote that song, The Tennessee Waltz? Wasn't that brilliant? All he did was just took the pentatonic scale, which you practice going like this, and you put it a little bit different rhythm. Just going up and down the scale, and of course that makes sense because these are the tools that you have to write the song with. So if you're sitting there practicing the pentatonic scale, you start to realize, well, hey, I'm practicing every song that I know whenever I do this. And then, does that form work whenever you transport it someplace else? Well, let's just see. Move it down here. Or even up here. song. So I've been playing all of these little songs and trying to put them within the scale that I have here, and then putting them on the pentatonic scales as well, and developing the pattern for the song that I can play it anywhere that I want to, along the keyboard or along the fretboard, regardless of the place that I start with it. Oh, computer just had a bit of a brain fart there, and I had to restart this video, so I'll see if I can patch it all together again afterwards, and play a couple of songs just within this melotonic scale here, so that you can kind of see what it is that I'm doing with it. Oh, there's my glasses. I finally got glasses. I haven't had glasses forever, and I can see about maybe 5 feet without glasses, and I'm always squinting to see people, and I have people saying, "You're giving me a dirty look," and I'm like, Jesus, I didn't even see him. I can't see 5 feet. Was I squinting by any chance? So I guess people see me squinting and they think I'm giving them dirty looks. Well, that's all right, too. I guess people are welcome to think whatever they want there. But I don't hate as much of the world as what they would believe. Well, I'm not overly impressed with a lot of it either. So there's a couple easy little songs to play right off the bat that won't take you too long to get going. And so if you learn any little songs, take the time to put them into the melotonic scale there. Particularly if you have trouble with feeling in your hands or moving your hands very quick. I mean, I get my hands, I get up, and if they're not swollen and just asleep, sometimes it feels like somebody's just taking a hammer and going, wah, 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 wah. Oh, your bones are cracking, and it's like they got ice inside your bones. It's trying to force your bones apart or some damn thing. Well, anybody that has arthritis knows exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Well, my answer for that is to try and get movement happening. And one of the things that I like about music is it gives you something to focus on. You know, you can take that focus off your pain, because you know when your pain is there, like if you're not doing something to occupy your mind, you can't think of anything else, right? Well, if you try and just get outside of that a little bit, sometimes it doesn't take very much, and there you are, you're distracted, and you're putting your intellect into something, and it takes that focus off of your pain, and I think it allows your body to get used to it and stuff like that, and to go a little bit stronger, and slowly you get rid of that pain, right? Because one thing that I noticed is, you know, like I had zero nerve response in my hands. They said that I'd never use them again. Well, that's the first thing that you get for your efforts is pain, because I guess, whenever your nerves start to connect or whatever, that's probably one of the, the primary things that you feel or something like that. I remember I had a real problem with hot stuff. I was always burning my stuff. I remember smelling funny, what's burning, and I'd look and I'd see great big burns on my hands and stuff like that. Well, slowly now I can even feel hot stuff, and it's really, really hot. I drop it immediately now because I feel it, because that's there, and I get a response to it. But I know there's something that's funny about hot and cold and things like that. And you'll notice that I'm dressed really warm while I'm up in the high alpine here as well. And it's already, we had about 2 weeks of summer, and I think that we're kind of going to bypass a little bit of fall and just go straight into winter here. So I'm dressed with the weather, but I've noticed that sometimes I don't notice the cold until it's too late. And then I'm very, very cold, and it's a little bit disconcerting whenever you crawl into bed and you go to hug your wife and she shrieks at you. I'm not sure if it's more disconcerting for you crawling in or the wife getting pawed up with frozen hands. At any rate, so that's what I try to do. I spend as much time as I can being creative. I love music. I've started programming again, creating my little applications. It's unfortunate everything in the world costs money. But, try and get your copyrights and all that other sort of stuff. And then it's not really worth the effort. Like a $40 mining thing basically was destroyed our lives. We've had this pro se. All it did was give the Crown agents an excuse to start attacking us because I had a contract with them. And it doesn't matter that they're in breach of contract and that I've never had the right to the quiet enjoyment of my property. It's just as long as they're in control. So at the same time that they try to keep destroying everything, my idea is I'm just going to try and keep creating everything, because here's the thing about destroyers. They write the song about the soldier who must be dead to be admired. It's the only time they admire a soldier is when he's gotten blown away, and then everybody stands for a moment and they cry and they try to remember and they don't remember his name, and he marches on in anonymity, and his whole life experience never means anything. The people that create, well, they leave behind them a trail. A trail that somebody else can come along and they can say, hey, that's really cool. An 8-legged person that invented it is not remembered for who they are. A piece of them still lives. And it goes on forever, as long as mankind is interested, and they are. We're all kind of cells in one great big brain, one intellect. It's been growing for centuries. There's a continuity, and when our life processes went out of existence, what we're a part of is not. If you do nothing, you make no difference to that great living organism that we're all a part of. If you do nothing while that sentient collective consciousness of mankind turns to destruction, you're responsible. You fight it now. You can't make that mistake. I made that mistake. You can't fight it. Evil will consume you. There's no end to retards like Henry Grosse that'll take a buck to go up and fuck their fellow countrymen over. Get on the RCMP website. The first question they ask them, would you be willing to kill one of your fellow countrymen for not following the laws when you told them to? That's all they want. Someone that'll pull the trigger while they disarm you so that they can have absolute control over your life. And you can get a gun and you can go up against them, but they got all the guns. That's what they want you to do, just so that they can get rid of you. But when you're kind and loving and sharing and caring and creating, it's really hard for them to do that. And yeah, kind, loving, creating, sharing people get destroyed all the time. They're easy targets. They don't allow themselves to sink to the level that the people attacking them did. But they're like gold, and they represent the high points of our consciousness. And you see, the dumbing down of the population is about lowering the level of normalcy for education within a population. But what happens is that the deviants within that system begin to grow. And the level of normalcy changes. And that is why in systems for mankind that are controlled by the bankers, they keep wiping out the intelligentsia. They don't want the thinkers out there. They want herd critters. Be thou gentle as a lamb. Run into the barn. Get fleeced. Get eaten. Be a good little sheep and listen to your shepherd. Think about that epistemology. Is that what you want your life to be? Have you nothing unique to offer the human race? And maybe you'll even invent something that somebody else has invented before. That happens all the time. People come up with ideas totally independent of anything else, and somebody comes along and they say, well, that's already been done. Does it invalidate what the second person has done? No, it's not. And hopefully it encourages them to go on to even greater extravagances of the intellect. I have many more offerings, and that's what I have to concentrate on. I have to get my dome out there, my Pentagon pyramid, but you know, when you have nothing, and you've been teaching yourself to survive without the money system or anything else, well, survival without the money system is very easy to do. And it's happening more all the time. Around us all the time. People are giving up on money and going back to love, cooperation, and looking out for one another. And the monetary system doesn't like that. That's why the RCMP follow me around and they make up all these little rumors and they try to get us targeted by other people within the community so other people do their dirty work for them. I guess the real value of YouTube is that we can share all of these things with each other. You know, there are some people that have become very close to me that view my videos, send me comments. It indicates to me that they're watching closely what I say. And some of them leave me their links for their videos, and I go in and I watch their videos, and I notice this convergence of intellect. And I kind of notice that many things that I've been saying for many years, other people are putting it on the internet. And it's come to them totally independent of anything I've put on the internet before them. I really like to see that happening because I say, well, in spite of the RCMP campaign for the last 15 years to go banging on the drum, he's great, he's great, he's great, he's great. Go say when they changed it to non-mining purposes, whenever I got a $40 license from the Crown. A year and a half to investigate a $40 license for a mining thing. Less than an hour, they've done the investigation and the attempt to murder us. They're not going to do anything. Absolutely amazing. And you see, that's why you just have to ignore it, because it would drive you crazy trying to deal with all of that stuff. People say, how do you do it? Well, I guess because I'm so righteously indignant. When you're under attack by criminals that are disguised as public authorities all the time, sooner or later you become inured to it. Yeah, they destroy a huge portion of our society, but they beat up an awful lot of people that are inured to it. Take a look at what's happening. The mainstream media can't report what's going on, and yet we know about it, and we laugh at the mainstream media. You look at the occupation of Wall Street. Nothing in the mainstream media, yet it's all over YouTube. All videos that everybody took and posted on there. This, as a medium for exchange of human ideas, far surpasses the controlled environment of the manufactured Hollywood media, CNN and all these other people. There is a concerted attempt to take it over and control it. Of course there is. And these people have unlimited funds to do so. But the only thing that stops them from doing that is our own determination. Our own determination to look for other venues of getting this kind of information out there whenever they close up that porthole for you to exercise that medium of expressing yourself. Medium of expressing yourself. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. That's really what it's all about. How free are you? Are you free to create? And what do you create? You know, I understand certain people try to take advantage of creative license. And, you know, there is just simple filth disguised as art. But people contend, screaming louder and louder all the time that it's art. I'm not so sure that repetition and histrionics really convey what is going on. You know, desperation tends to make people repeat themselves. You know, like for many years, the RCMP have had this agenda against us and have been trying to push us into committing an act of violence, like are routinely committed against us all the time. And at the behest of the RCMP, who are in the background, encouraging everybody to attack us. You know, but I think by now pretty well everybody understands what's going on. I've got enough blogs out there. I've put enough of these videos on there. I've held up enough of my court paperwork and everything for people to see what is going on, and I don't think we're fooled. The media blackout on what's going on in the world, I kind of compare to the calm before the storm. You see, the bankers believe that they've stolen everything, and they're going to get away with it. Basel, Switzerland, you know, Switzerland creates the United Nations, the League of Nations. They declare themselves to be a neutral nation, and while they finance all the nations of the world to go to war, they remain unscathed. Are they going to be able to pull it off a third time? Whenever it's common knowledge that the Bank of International Settlements has an asset base of $175 trillion and is owed world's debt of $100 trillion, which it is owed through the central banks that it creates and the corporate governments that it creates. Our central banking system controls the bank within our country, and the local banks are all part of the Bank of International Settlements. Banking is simply fraud. It's theft by conversion. And we can allow bankers to exist amongst us, and as long as we do, we will have nothing, and we will be enslaved. Sir Josiah Stamp, who's a former chairman of the Bank of England. He even said, if you want bankers to own everything, just give them a pen and write checks. It's as simple as it is. Fraud artists writing checks that all the rest of us are liable for. And that is why I am persecuted, because I put it in writing very succinctly how the system works. I try to create, and I suppose it's more for the reason of trying to convince myself that these people have not stolen my entire life from me. But that's a really hard thing to convince myself of, because that's how I genuinely feel. The public servants in this country, they feather their own nests at the expense of their fellow countrymen. They do not provide a service. They provide a disservice, and they shame all of us. I don't know. I keep on thinking about what is the message that I'm delivering here, and I really did want to show that I am being creative and I'm trying to distract myself from all of this. But of course, it's always in the back of my thoughts how very evil the world is. And even though you want to ignore it and everything else, it just comes repeatedly back to your doorstep. And I think to myself, all the potential that's in the world out there. What a wonderful planet we could inhabit if we could but restrain 1/10 or 1% of the population that have to own everything and really don't care who they destroy in order to do so. Love you. Love you, my fellow countrymen. I hope you like playing my melotonic scale on the guitar. And if you would like to buy my chord calculator off of me and the thing on the scaler, just drop me an email. It's jim@townsend.be. That's jim@townsend.be. Or townsendjim@hotmail.com. Take care, y'all. Peace out. Have a good day.